I was born into a home that worshiped sons as if they were the keys to heaven, while daughters were treated as a burden waiting to be handed off. I was the eldest daughter of a father who saw in my younger brother the pride of his name and the continuation of his legacy, while I was merely an unnecessary detail in the family portrait. Since childhood, I saw that proud sparkle in his eyes whenever he looked at my brother, and the cold indifference whenever his gaze fell on me. He would always say, "A son is strength, a daughter is a burden." Every time I heard it, it felt like a dagger cutting deeper into my small heart. I tried everything to get his attention. I made his tea just the way he liked, arranged his papers, helped my mother with every chore, yet he never saw me. He'd pat my brother on the shoulder and say, "You'll grow up to be a man like me," while to me he would say flatly, "Go help your mother." I grew up carrying a wound that never healed, the wound of being unseen by the one who should have loved me most. I watched as he spoiled my brother endlessly, buying him whatever he wanted, taking him to the market, the cafe, everywhere I longed to go. I would stand at the window, watching them disappear down the street, tears filling my eyes, convincing myself that love isn't measured by fairness, but by intention, even though his intentions had never been for me. The years passed, and I learned silence until it became a part of me. Whenever I excelled in school and tried to show him my achievements, he'd smile faintly and say, "That's nice, but what's the point? You'll end up in your husband's house anyway." Yet when my brother succeeded, he'd celebrate as if the world had been saved. I'd laugh in front of them and cry quietly into my pillow at night, wondering if I was truly born to be a footnote in my father's story. Still, I loved him. Despite everything, he was my world. The man whose embrace I imagined would be my safety, though he never once offered it. I longed to hear him say, "I'm proud of you, my daughter," but he never did. When I grew older and went to university, I started working to support myself. I didn't want his money or help. I just wanted him to see that I was capable, that I was not less than my brother. But when he found out I was working, he scolded me harshly. "Why are you working? What will people say? My daughter, out among men?" The ground fell from beneath me. No matter what I did, I would never be enough. Still, I kept working in silence. Every month, I sent him a small part of my salary, not because he asked me, but because I hoped it would build a bridge between us. He never thanked me. He took the money quietly and sometimes handed it to my brother if he needed something. I'd smile, not out of joy, but because sadness had become my shadow. As the years went by, my father began to age, and the hardness in his face slowly melted. I continued to care for him without being asked. I prepared his medicine, his meals, and stayed by his side when he slept. He still ignored me most of the time, but I saw something changing in his eyes each time he looked at me. My brother got married and drifted away. He rarely visited, even when my father's health began to decline. I was the one who stayed, the one who sat by his bed at night, who called the doctor, who held his hand when the pain grew unbearable. One night, while I was giving him water, he looked at me and asked softly, "Did your brother call today?" I smiled and said, "He's busy, Papa." He nodded quietly, his voice faint. "Time reveals everything," he murmured. As the days passed and his illness worsened, I found myself growing closer to him in ways I'd never imagined. I read the newspaper to him when his vision weakened. I cleaned his room every morning and placed his favorite flowers on the table. One evening, I found him staring at an old photo of us. His voice trembled as he said, "Do you remember this picture? You were so small. You were smiling and I wasn't." I looked at him and smiled gently. I said, "Maybe you didn't know how to love back then." He lowered his head, battling something inside, then whispered, "I was a fool. I thought sons were strength and daughters were burdens. But now I know it's the daughter who is the true strength." In that moment, my heart stopped. All the years of pain collapsed into that one sentence. I took his hand, tears filling my eyes, and he said, "Forgive me, my daughter. I wronged you deeply." I smiled softly. There's nothing such as wrong between the father and his daughter. There's only fate, and I've made peace with it. He began to cry like a lost child finally finding his way home. I held him close, and for the first time in my life, he held me back. He said through tears, "I thought being a man meant being strict. But real strength is kindness, and you taught me that." From that day on, everything changed. He started calling me by my name every morning, asking about my work, my health. In front of people, he'd say with pride, "This is my daughter, my true pride." His eyes would glisten when he said it, as though every word was a prayer for redemption. He laughed more. He listened when I spoke. He tried in every way to make up for lost years. And I forgave him. Not because he asked me to, but because forgiveness is what gives life meaning again. Now, when I sit beside him as he reads the newspaper, sometimes I hear him whisper to himself, "If only time could go back, so I could see you from the start. Maybe I would have spent my life being proud of you from the beginning." I smile and say, "What matters is that you see me now, Papa." He smiles back, eyes wet with tears, and he says, "More than see you, I see myself in you." And I finally understand, real love never dies. It only returns when the heart learns how to feel. Because when God decides to heal a broken heart, He doesn't erase the pain. He redeems it by turning the one who hurt you into the one who finally sees your worth.